At 34, Bill Gates was worth $1 billion. At 35, Jeff Bezos was worth $1 billion. And at 42, Elon Musk became the first ever internet-based billionaire. He owns 23% of Tesla stock, which means he personally has around $238 billion in liquid assets. And if SpaceX is valued at $75 billion, then he owns 42% of that company as well, which adds another $315 billion to his net worth. Now $393 billion plus $238 billion equals $631 billion. So at least $631 billion is what Elon Musk is currently worth. But there's still time to reach $1 trillion. In fact, the world's richest man right now only has a 38% chance of hitting $1 trillion. By August 2024, which would make him the first human being to ever have $1 trillion in net worth. The truth is, Elon Musk won't stop until he hits $1 trillion and beyond. We're going to do everything we can to help him get there. And we're going to take a look back at how he managed to go from 18 years old with $0 to becoming a multi-billionaire. Because it wasn't always easy. It was hard work, long hours, near bankruptcies, massive failures. But in the end, he accomplished something that no one else has been able to accomplish. In order to understand how Elon Musk will hit $1 trillion, we must first understand how Elon Musk made his first million. And to make things easier, we split his life into 4 separate chapters. Chapter No. 1. $0. Born in South Africa in June of 1971, Musk's parents split up when he was just 9 years old. His father was a wealthy engineer while his mother was a dietitian. Because his dad was so rich, Musk never had to worry about money growing up. But he also didn't have much ambition, because he knew that he could always fall back on his father's money. For example, when Musk was just 12 years old, he and his brother used to sell a small magazine called PC Magazine for 50 cents per issue. This was their business. They would buy 1,000 magazines for $50 and then sell them all for $50. They made zero profit, but they didn't really care. It wasn't until his family moved to Canada that Musk started taking things more seriously. When he was 18, his computer teacher told him to start a company. He actually listened. That same year, Musk co-founded an online payment platform called Zip2 with his brother Kimball. It was a web software company that helped publishers add interactive maps to their websites. It wasn't exactly a sexy idea, but it was enough to raise $21 million from investors like angel investor Ron Burkle, who would later become a famous Hollywood producer. Not only did Zip2 end up making a lot of money, but Musk gained valuable experience running a business. And that's why, when the dot-com bubble burst and Zip2 lost $175,000 per month, Musk used his personal savings to keep the company afloat. And because of that, he was able to sell the company to Compaq for $19 million in 1999. After selling his company, Musk tried to invest the money, but he lost most of it in the dot-com crash. He ended up with just $180,000 to his name. So he used some of that money to co-found an online payment platform called X.com. You may know it today as PayPal. Once again, Musk gave up a large percentage of his ownership in the company to bring in other investors. And when PayPal merged with another major player called Confinity, Musk's stake in the company was diluted to just 11.7%. If he simply held on to his PayPal shares, he would be worth about $120 million right now. But instead, he sold them all in February 2004, $18 million. That left him with just $20 million, which brings us to Chapter 2. Chapter 2. The First Million. After selling his PayPal shares, Musk took a brief break from working on money-making ideas. He spent a few months traveling the world, and then he came across an idea that changed his life forever. While visiting Africa in early 2001, Musk realized that the main problems in third world countries aren't medical, but rather logistical. people don't lack access to healthcare. They lack access to affordable healthcare. Musk thought to himself, what if someone could develop an affordable electric car? Well, Musk figured it wouldn't be too difficult. He just needed to find a good team to execute his vision. So Musk called up his buddy Mark Tarpenning, who was an electrical engineer. Together, they created a sketch of an electric car, and then they recruited J.B. Straubel, who was an electrical engineer with a degree in physics from MIT. With the help of Ian Wright, who was a former Lotus engineer, they designed the Tesla Roadster, which went into production in 2008. However, before Tesla started making cars, they had to convince people that electric cars are not lame. In fact, they're faster and cooler than gas cars. And even though they didn't have a single customer yet, Musk decided to give the first Tesla Roadster to a famous actor named George Barris. This garnered a ton of media attention, especially after Musk posted the following tweet: "Let's build a sports car together." Within 24 hours, 750 people reserved the vehicle, and by the end of the day, Tesla received over 1,000 orders. By the way, you can use this exact strategy to grow your email list. If you want to learn more about that, I suggest you read the book Building a Story Brand. Anyway, Tesla received a huge influx of cash, and they were able to use that money to fund their next big project. Chapter 3: Near Bankruptcy. Elon Musk has always believed that electric cars are great, but they're not enough. We need rockets as well. Rockets allow us to explore space and even colonize other planets. And even though that sounds pretty cool, Musk's rocket company, SpaceX, actually makes losing money look like winning money. For example, between 2002 and 2015, SpaceX lost $10.2 billion. But what's crazy is that during this same period, SpaceX had 157 rocket launches. I mean, come on, that's amazing. But then again, they weren't cheap. Each rocket launch cost $60 million. So yeah, SpaceX lost an average of $65 million per rocket launch. In fact, they've never launched a rocket without losing money. But that doesn't matter. Some people measure success by monetary value, but Elon Musk measures success by progress. Take, for example, Dragon. Their first attempt failed because the parachutes deployed late. Their second attempt failed because the rocket exploded. Their third attempt partially failed because the capsule landed in the wrong location. But finally, on May 2012, Dragon successfully reached the International Space Station for the first time. Their next big win was landing the Falcon 9 rocket booster for the first time. On December 2015, Falcon 9 successfully landed back on solid ground. They followed that up with another big win on March 2016, when they landed a Falcon 9 rocket booster on the ocean. These might seem like small achievements, but they saved SpaceX billions of dollars. Instead of spending $60 million per launch, they only spend $6 million per launch now. That's how. As you can see, SpaceX is much closer to profitability now, but they're still a far cry away from being consistently profitable. The problem is, they've grown so fast that they haven't been able to match supply and demand. For example, NASA alone has 25 launches scheduled with SpaceX in 2023, and SpaceX has the capability of launching 132 rockets per year. But they don't have enough workers to meet this demand, so they've been forced to push back dates. And when you push back dates, you lose money. This is why SpaceX was recently valued at $75 billion. Despite having less than $1 billion in revenue and losing hundreds of millions of dollars per year. Chapter 4: $100 billion. With Tesla and SpaceX exploding in popularity, Musk was able to raise hundreds of millions of dollars in investments. For example, in 2010, he convinced investors to buy 16 million shares of Tesla at $17 apiece, which raised $44 million. 2 years later, Musk pulled off an even bigger feat. He convinced investors to buy 5 million shares of Tesla at $35 apiece, which raised $225 million. Tesla used this money to ramp up production of the Model S, which was a luxurious electric sedan. And the investors who bought in on the 2010 and 2012 offerings saw a 10x and a 2x, respectively. Of course, Musk didn't just stop there. He continued offering shares of Tesla throughout the years, except it wasn't that easy anymore. In 2013, he offered 5 million shares of Tesla at $35 apiece, which raised $1.35 billion. Then he offered 8.4 million shares of Tesla at $20 apiece, which raised $1.7 billion. Even though these offerings made him a ton of money, Musk knew that he couldn't sell any more shares of Tesla, because he needed the company's stock price to stay high in order to maintain his spot as CEO. But little did he know that Tesla was about to face a massive setback. In July 2018, Musk announced that he would step down as CEO of Tesla and move over to product design and manufacturing. But after facing backlash from investors, he quickly changed his mind and said that he wouldn't be stepping down. That caused Tesla shares to plummet from $300 to $235. At that point, Musk had two options. Option no. One was to sell 5 million shares at $235 per share, which would raise $1.17 billion. Or option no. Two was to wait and hope that the stock price goes up. Guess which option he chose? He chose option no. 2. And fortunately for him, Tesla shares rebounded and are now trading at $1,000 per share. That's why he's sitting on a $238 billion pile of cash. But that's still not enough to hit $1 trillion. And the only way that he's going to do that is with SpaceX. Speaking of, here's something that I found interesting. Back in 2017, Musk stated that 90% of SpaceX employees owned stock in the company. That translates to roughly 7,000 people owning shares of SpaceX. So when SpaceX is valued at $75 billion, each employee owns about $8.3 million worth of stock. And yes, SpaceX does pay very well, but SpaceX isn't worth $75 billion, so don't expect to be getting $8.3 million anytime soon, unless you're one of these lucky few who invest in the next big thing before it becomes big. You don't need to be an investment banker or have an MBA to make millions of dollars. You just need a good idea and the courage to pursue it. So what's your idea? What are you working on right now? Let me know in the comments. Also, drop a like if you admire Elon Musk's hustle. And of course, consider joining our community to get more epic business stories. But until then, I'll see you guys on the next one.